Welcome. We'll call the meeting to order. If we should encounter an emergency situation, please exit the building. There's 2 sets of doors off of the lobby. And if for some reason those exits are not available, we've got another set of doors behind council chamber here. Our muster point is located near the gazebo in Lions Park. And if we are evacuated for any reason, we will not re-enter the building until given an all clear from staff. Next, we'll move into our land acknowledgement. Councillor Rilling.
The town of Sylvan Lake respectfully acknowledges that the land on which we gather is Treaty 6 territory, home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. These lands are traditional meeting grounds, gathering places, and travel routes for many nations, including the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Métis, Saulteaux, and Nakota Sioux. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We acknowledge and thank all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries.
Excellent, thank you. We'll start the meeting with 2 proclamations we have before us. The first one is for Family Violence Prevention Month, November 2025, and it is as follows. Whereas abuse in relationships that are intimate has been identified as one of the most relevant issues affecting the quality of family and community life today. And whereas abuse crosses the barriers, including emotional, physical, psychological, sexual, and/or financial, and affects people of all ages. And whereas November has been declared Family Violence Prevention Month in the province of Alberta. Whereas through the various initiatives throughout the community, such as Red Rose Campaign and the Purple Silhouettes, awareness is being raised so that we as a community better recognize the signs of abuse and are better equipped to help community to help community members in these situations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Megan Hansen, Mayor of Sylvan Lake, do hereby proclaim the month of November as Family Violence Prevention Month in the town of Sylvan Lake. And we have one more proclamation, also for November, Seniors Fall Prevention Month. Whereas seniors are a vital part of our families, communities, and province, giving generously of their wisdom, experience, and love. And whereas falls are the leading cause of injuries amongst seniors. And whereas 20 to 30% of seniors in Alberta will fall at least once a year. And whereas falls amongst our seniors will result in over 9,000 hospital admissions and 33,580 emergency department visits each year. And whereas falling and the fear of falling can lead to depression and hopelessness, loss of mobility, and loss of independence. And whereas individuals and organizations from a multitude of disciplines across Alberta are working together to increase awareness of the issue and encourage Albertans to take steps to prevent seniors' falls. And whereas the quality of life has improved for Alberta seniors who remain healthy, active, and independent. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Megan Hansen, Mayor of Sylvan Lake, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2025 to be Seniors Fall Prevention Month in the town of Sylvan Lake. Thank you. You're welcome. Next, we'll move into open microphone. Open microphone is an opportunity for a member of the public to express their feedback to council. Each open mic session is a maximum of 5 minutes, and we will hear from up to 3 residents today on open microphone, which is no problem as we have 1 signed up. So we can start with Zona Skiri. Welcome. Excellent, go ahead.
All things just going on. That's perfect, it's all good. I'm Zona Skiri. So I'm here to speak again about the golf cart. In some of the movement that we've seen in our town with elections coming, we see that there's a lot of debate and a lot of people that have different ideas. And some we agree with and some we don't. And I think sometimes everyone is allowed to have an opinion, and that's the power of making great decisions. So I think when there's a debate of either negative or positive, then when we come together with great minds, that's when amazing decisions for our town is made. And I'm always on the side of, let's try it. Even at the hotel, I'm very often in the side of, that sounds absolutely absurd, it's a no. And then I think about it and go, you know what, I don't know if it's a no. I haven't tried it, let's try it and see if it works. So very often experiences only come with the fear of trying because we don't know the outcome of it. So once again, I speak for my guests and/or the town's tourists, however you want to see it, and allow them to experience Sylvan Lake like they haven't before. And also to allow other businesses to experience my guests or to experience the tourism. And so for me, I think it just would be a great way of me sharing a lot of the guests that you guys never see, that you guys never get to experience, that they never get to experience you. And so even with, and I should have brought some of the reviews with me, but the way the guests see us as a town is kind of, you would go, aw. And so I just want them to see the rest of us and to see also for you guys to experience that piece of what they bring to Sylvan Lake. And so that's just my take on the golf cart. Thanks.
Thank you. Council, do we have any questions? We'll be addressing that issue shortly. Thank you. I'll note, I heard a comment from the gallery about signing up for open microphone, and I certainly don't want to cut off anyone's opportunity to do that. So if there is anyone else that would like to speak at open microphone, but I do want to clarify that we have a couple of public hearings coming up later in the meeting. So if the topic you're interested in speaking on is one of those, we'll be addressing those shortly with some unfortunate news, but that is different than our regular open microphone session. So I'll just ask, is there anyone here who'd like to speak in that general open microphone session about any of the topics that are not on our public hearing? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you. We will carry on. I also just want to acknowledge we have another guest in our gallery today. Jessica Krause is here. She is a student taking finance, governance, and administration, some coursework right now, and she came and interviewed me last week around chairing a council meeting, and now she's here to find out what that looks like in real life. So welcome and thanks for being here. Next, we'll move along to adoption of the agenda. Do we have any additions to the agenda tonight?
We have no additions.
Excellent. Not a formal addition, but council, I'll just note that under council requests for information and updates, we do not have another committee of the whole meeting before this term concludes. So if you have any committee updates that wouldn't be captured in them, that you'd just like to give verbally, I know I certainly have one from a meeting last week, that would be a great opportunity to do so, and we'll start with that prior to going into our general council request for information and updates. But with no changes to our agenda, would someone like to make a motion to approve? Councillor Rilling.
I move the approval of our agenda.
Excellent. All those in favor? And opposed? That is carried unanimously. Next, we'll move into our consent agenda. Consent agenda is an item used to increase meeting efficiency. We've got a number of items on our agenda that have been marked with an asterisk. Those are recommended by administration to be moved through our consent agenda, but council, if you have any questions or extensive feedback, I'll ask that you pull those items before the motion is being made. So we'll start with that question. Council, is there any items that you'd like to make edits to or to be pulled from that list? Councillor Rilling, do you have one that you might want to make an edit to? The minutes?
Yeah, no, it wasn't the minutes. It's in the actual number 7A. I checked, it's
Okay,
not in the
right
minutes.
within there. Okay.
It is in, it's further down.
Thank you very
And there
much.
I will make an edit.
Very good. I want to make sure we didn't miss that. Councillor Ostindi, did you have a question? No. Would someone like to make a motion? Councillor Dakin.
I move that the 2025-09-23 regular meeting of council meeting minutes be approved as presented, that the 2025-10-07 committee of the whole meeting minutes be approved as presented, that council approves proposed policy L-001-008B, recognition of public members on committees, boards, and commission policy with noted changes as described in AIR 1245. That council approves proposed policy L-001-002E, council policies and administrative directives with noted changes as described in report AIR-1249. That council repeal street naming policy D-002-001B as presented in AIR-1248. Finally, that council sets the organizational meeting of council for the 2026 council calendar year on October 29th, 2025 at 11 a.m. as pursuant to AIR 1252.
Excellent. Thank you. Council, any final comments on those items? All those in favor and opposed, and that is carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we'll move to public hearings and delegations, and we've had a hang-up. Ms. Phillips, would you like to bring that to our attention?
At this time, administration is recommending that public hearings for bylaws 1935, 2025, 1936, 2025, and 1937, 2025 be postponed due to the inability to provide proper notification as a result of the ongoing postal strike. The public hearings will be rescheduled for a future date at an upcoming council meeting.
Thank you. Council, do we have any questions about that process? No. Councilor Ostindi.
Will the rotating strike format allow a public hearing to occur sooner, or how do we confirm that people have received the notice when we do set a new date, or the new council sets a new date?
Question, please.
I'll actually defer to
Ms. Devlin.
Thank you through the chair to Councillor Ostindi. Administration is still working out some of those details with the recent rotating strike information just coming out at the end of last week. We're still trying to understand and learn what that means and how that rotation is taking place. The public hearing likely won't be scheduled for quite some time, just to ensure we've got adequate opportunity to make sure notices go out. And hopefully in the next few weeks, maybe an end to the postal strike, fingers crossed, so that we can ensure those letters do go out.
So I do have a motion prepared that can help us move that, but I just really want to express my apologies to anyone who came specifically for those items, unfortunately, without being able to give proper notification to all adjoining or all adjacent landowners. We just can't go forward with that decision because we want to make sure that all the right people are in the room when we're prepared to go forward with that. So a motion that I have here is that the public hearing for bylaw 1935, 2025, 1936, 2025, and 1937, 2025 will be postponed to a future date that is to be determined due to the inability to provide proper notification as a result of the ongoing postal strike. No, unfortunately, we do have to lump all of our public hearing together, and it will be a new council that then walks through that public hearing process. So we want to make sure they're the ones that can hear your feedback. Sure, Councillor Ostindi, did you have something to comment?
I was just going to add that information that if a councillor isn't at the whole public meeting, then they cannot vote on that bylaw. So if someone says something today and then someone new is voted onto council, they are not allowed to vote on that bylaw because they didn't hear the full public hearing. So this gets really legally complicated, is what I understand.
It does. Yeah, Councillor Dakin.
And if you aren't able to attend the future meeting, you can submit it to administration as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Council, I have a motion on the floor. All those in favor and opposed, and that is carried unanimously. Council, let's just take a 3-minute recess to conclude those items, and then we'll come back and play under business item 7A. Thank you. project bylaw. Mr. Lebsack.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Council. I believe this is quite fresh in everyone's mind, so I won't go over the whole report again. What I will do is start again as a recap of the last meeting, which on page 23 of the agenda. So again, Councillor Ostindi had made two motions there that were defeated. The third motion that was carried was to include in Schedule 80, 47th Avenue from 50th Street to Thevenot Industrial Trail as an exemption on the map, meaning that golf carts are not allowed on 47th Avenue from 50th all the way through to Thevenot Industrial Trail. So that has been added to the map and the description as part of the bylaw as Appendix A, or Schedule A. And beyond that, those were all the changes that were made following second reading of the bylaw. So again, we have our recommendation from council, we have some options, or recommendation from administration, we have some options there, as well as we have a proposed resolution. So without beating this one to death, I think I will just pass it back on and leave it for you.
Excellent. Council, would someone like to, or do we have any questions to start off? Let's put a motion on the floor, and then I think that's a great thing to start with. Councillor Rilling, go ahead.
I move that council approve third reading of pilot project golf cart bylaw 1931 to 2025 as presented in report AIR 1250.
Excellent, and go ahead and start with your point.
Okay, on page 24, where it's from the last meeting, September 23rd, that of which I was absent, it says Councillor Rilling in favor. Not that I wasn't, but I wasn't here, so, you know. So we just need to make that change in the minutes.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move into discussion. Councillor Payne.
I'm still very much opposed to this, very much opposed to this on the huge safety of this. I had a conversation just the other day prior to our forum with an individual in the insurance industry, and they were equally opposed to this simply because they find it very difficult in conversations with insurance companies to how this is going to work, how they're going to be insured. There will be no insurance on these vehicles in terms of a vehicle. Any insurance that's going to be on these will be separate from vehicle insurance, which means the coverages that are available to people in motor vehicle accidents won't be available. I still know that even though there are a lot of regulations, a lot of things that have to happen with these vehicles before they can be legally on the road, I know that it's not the legal ones on the road that are going to be the difficulty. And I know that it's not going to be the 40-year-old driver that's going to have difficulty in this. It's going to be the young kids and the young people who are legally able to drive but don't have the developed responsibility. I just think that in looking at this, in looking at the possibility of golf carts on streets, we are not a quiet, quaint little town anymore. We're a city. We're a city with vehicles that move quick. We're a city with vehicles that are large. If you look on the streets, 40% of the vehicles on our city streets are trucks. I just think that visibility is an issue. I think that safety features are an issue. I think that having these vehicles compete for road space on our streets is asking for a catastrophic end. I can't support having golf carts on streets that are going to be driven by F-350s. I just can't. For me, I see I see the damage that's going to happen. And I don't think it might happen, I think it will happen. And that culpability, to me, it just screams, don't be the one responsible. So I can't support this. If we were a little town where everybody was driving a golf cart, that'd be different, but we're not.
Sure. Councilor Mearns.
Mr. Lebsack, I don't know if you can answer this or not, but I'll run it by you. Let's call it hypothetical that this would move forward. Can you just outline the steps that would happen next and then approaching the province for commercial use? Do you know what that would look like or time frame on that side of things?
Through the chair to Councillor Mearns. So the next steps, once council passes a bylaw, then that actual bylaw gets sent to the province for approval. So the province also has to approve this bylaw that's being considered today. The general conversation that was had with a member of parliament was that once the bylaw has been approved by council and then approved by the province, then we would respond back in terms of adding commercial use as an exemption into our bylaw. There's been no indication from staff up at the province that that will even be considered. Their wording to me was that the bylaw must meet the parameters of the pilot project. So that's the only feedback that we've received.
Any other comment? Councilor Parsons.
So one of the big reasons that we're contemplating this, basically a pilot project, is to get it to the commercial stage. And so if we don't do it now, and this is a big test of what it is for the commercial aspect of it, would that make it in danger of not being able to, would the bureaucracy make it probably not make it for this spring or this summer? Is there a good chance of that? That's.
So again, through the chair, I believe the turnaround from the province in terms of this particular bylaw is going to be fairly good. They're talking 6 to 8 weeks turnaround. We've heard from a couple other municipalities that it's been 4 weeks, and they've heard back and had their bylaw approved. Again, so that's just the approval of this particular bylaw. I guess I'll restate the other part is that we've heard from a member of parliament, then what we do is, of the provincial legislature, then we can go back and ask for an exemption. The only correspondence, again, I just want to be clear, the only correspondence we received from staff up at the province is quoted right here on page 23 of your agenda. It says, thank you for your interest in the golf cart pilot project. An initial review of your draft bylaw looks promising. A comprehensive review will be completed once your full application has been submitted. When submitting your application, please ensure that the bylaw only includes golf cart operations as outlined under the pilot project golf carts regulation. That's the feedback we've received from the actual department. So we have two conflicting, we've heard verbally from a member of the legislature to say one thing. We've had this in writing from from staff up at the department to the other. That's, just to be open and clear, that's the only feedback we've received.
Councilor Mearns and then Dakin.
So Mr. Lebsack, if, again, hypothetically, this was to go through and went to the province and they approved it, we submitted an exemption for commercial, and they declined that, then there would be an opportunity to amend this bylaw or rescind it at that time. And full transparency, there's only one reason that I would see this move forward, it's for commercial. So there would be that opportunity. If it was denied for commercial, then, all the work we've done is, I get it, it's a lot of work and time, but there would be an opportunity where we could rescind it if this bylaw, if need be, if that's what the new council chose to do.
Again, through the chair. So just to respond in terms of timelines, yes, I believe we would have time to do that based on, I'll say, a 4 to 6 week turnaround on this initial bylaw, get approval of it, then we'd have to, resubmit a bylaw with a new request to the province to see if it would happen. I don't know what the turnaround on that would be. But we should know on this particular bylaw within 4 to 6 weeks from the province.
Mr. Dakin?
Thank you. I've been thinking about this a lot. I think our scooters are way more dangerous than this taxi bylaw. We have gone over and above with safety parameters. Am I afraid? For sure. Of course I am. But I'm more afraid of the scooters than I am of this taxi bylaw. I would like to see this move forward. I would like to see it squished if it was not allowed to do business, the business side. I would really want this to come back in front of the next council. So that's where I stand.
Councillor Oostende.
My general thoughts are to approve this bylaw still, although I still would entertain getting rid of Halloween. Because I think purely on a safety issue, because of the use of golf carts in the dark, kids jumping on and off, parents distracted, et cetera, et cetera. And I love it when people walk too, but I tried that last week and it was not accepted. My bias is, I have to recognize that, I come of Dutch heritage and I've seen every vehicle type on these road surfaces, and we are not the same as the Netherlands. We don't have the infrastructure that's exactly the same, but we are nowhere near introducing all the different modes of transportation yet. One of the things that really ticked people off in their public feedback that were opposed to this was pathways. These golf carts will not be on pathways. I would never support it on a pathway, and I think in the future council that talks about the waterfront and talks about some of the potential changes there, that scooters and pathways should be thought some more about. And we've just recently learned that e-scooters aren't even permitted by provincial law unless they are a commercial fleet. I also want to recognize that there's going to be probably very few golf carts on our streets. We've removed them from every street that has a high speed limit of 60, and we've removed them from 47th due to that amendment we made. And I also recognize that some neighborhoods will be blocked from the use unless they want to just go around the block. In other words, they cannot connect to the rest of town. I'm okay with that. I don't think everything has to be perfectly the same everywhere. I was originally opposed to the OHV idea of having the off-road vehicles in our town and snowmobiles. I've lived here long enough to see them here, then gone, then back again. And I was pleasantly surprised that my colleagues could convince me to try, and then to see a season's use of them and to say it's still worth another year's try before, I just don't see the problems that I was anticipating. Those are things that weigh in my mind to say I would still support this.
Councillor Rilling?
Everybody knows I strongly support it, just because I think it's, we always are looking for new ways to encourage our tourism and our people here, and but also if the province isn't going to pass it as commercial, I don't want to see it go forward. Like I want to see it go forward now, but if it gets kiboshed at that level, we just, I mean, it could be still great around, but I just think that needs to be the end result of this, because that is what they explained to us, that we cannot have commercial without this first. So then I want to see that move forward through that.
Councillor Oostende, you had a fascinating point. It's so interesting that the province doesn't permit e-scooters unless through a commercially insured company, but they will not have the same take when it comes to golf carts. It's not like they've done this before. I don't know if we've ever pointed that out to them, but sure would like them to see them at least be consistent. But I'm in support of this going forward, looking forward to that conversation with the province. That's really the next step to see where this goes. I think we've put in many of those safety features that we're looking for, and I really love that this is for local residents. In fact, I also wouldn't be opposed to a similar stance for the off-highway vehicle, but that bylaw, but it's a perk to businesses and residents that live in Sylvan Lake, and I like that we've incorporated that in. I think it's a nice way to test out a season. I don't think there should be mass public notification of this process, not that we shouldn't share the happenings of tonight, but in how to apply for it. I really think the messaging is, we've approved this, so now it can go to the province, and that's where we will see where the next steps are, not we've approved this, so go buy a golf cart today. Because I hate to be setting up an unrealistic expectation if the process doesn't go as we've been told that it would. So just keep that in mind as we're sharing it out. But I am in favor of going forward with this, and I look forward to having some conversations with the province next. Anyone else? All right, we have a motion on the floor with Councillor Rilling. All those in favor and opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. Next, we'll move along to business item 7F, the artificial intelligence use policy.
Thank you, Mayor Hansen, and good evening, Council. With this policy tonight, new policy, of course, AI has been amongst us for a long time, maybe longer than we know. We've decided to bring this policy forward for Council's discussion and hopefully approval tonight. So, of course, the town of Sylvan Lake is committed to using emerging technologies, including AI, to improve services and increase efficiency, support informed decision making. So this policy sets a standard for ethical and responsible use of AI, ensuring it aligns with public values such as transparency, fairness, and accountability, of course. So employees and council will be permitted, as is proposed in the policy, to use AI-enhanced features within applications and programs that have been approved by the town of Sylvan Lake for work-related research and productivity, provided such use complies with organizational acceptable use policies that are in place and does not involve the input or retrieval of sensitive or confidential information. I have the IT manager with me this evening, as you can see, so I'll turn it over to him to just give you a brief overview of the policy as presented and answer any questions that you may have.
I didn't dress for the occasion, I dressed for the weather, so I didn't know I was doing this till this morning. A key component of this policy was the decision to permit only Microsoft Copilot for AI-assisted tasks. While we do recognize the potential of other AI platforms, our priority is to ensure responsible use that aligns with our values and legal obligations. So by starting with Copilot, we created a controlled environment where we can learn, adapt, and expand safely. The policy is not about limiting innovation, it's about enabling it responsibly. As we gain experience and confidence, we can revisit the scope of permitted tools, but for now, Copilot offers the best balance of security, usability, and governance, and it also makes things a little more manageable for an IT department of our size.
Wonderful. Council, do we have any questions to start with? Councillor Oostende.
Just trying to understand the sensitivity of putting data online for an AI use. like I can see why we wouldn't necessarily want to put out personal information data, but if we had traffic volume data and someone was going to do some work on a policy to do with road use, is there an understood line in the sand that the type of information we can share with the AI that's sensitive data versus data, or are we just saying data period? Something I'm wrestling with in terms of how exposed are we?
I'd say the best way of looking at it is if the information is already public information, like if it's stuff you can already pull from our website or documents that already exist out there, then I feel it's probably safe to put in an AI tool. For now, it's just more permitting confidential information that might not be publicly available. I know sometimes it's hard to know what's out there. But again, with Copilot, another reason we wanted to steer in this direction is the data primarily stays within our ecosystem. So with platforms like ChatGPT, if you don't have like the premium version, your information gets used for like data sets and training of the AI tools. So we felt like with Copilot, if you were to leave, if a staff member was to leave the town, the information they input into Copilot will go with it. It doesn't store those logs. It stays within the town's ecosystem. So we felt it was a safer way to ease staff into the use of AI.
Thank you.
A couple adjacent questions. One is, do we have any policy that requires our vendors that use or have access to our data to have some sort of an AI policy in place?
I don't believe so currently. I know one of the drafts that we did do up initially did have a section for vendor use. We kind of avoided that at the time, but we could look to revisit that. I do believe this would be a policy that gets revisited quite frequently, just the way it evolves. Just since the last time we did a draft to now, we already made a lot of changes. So I feel like that is something that we could for sure put in there. And I've seen from other municipalities like Banff, for example, they had something similar to that as well, like a vendor checklist for AI use. So that's something we can certainly add.
That'd be great. I'd encourage us to look into that.
Yep.
And then my other note, just around mandatory requirements for AI usage, and not that it would hold up my support of this today, because I think this is fantastic, but wondering if something that should be considered is also having some regular AI training available in-house. You do a great job of terrifying us of technology with the IT training that is available, but I think there's also a place for some sort of regular training that encourages the use of in a responsible way and shows how that could be beneficial to our organization as well. And I haven't seen that in the things that have been offered. So with this policy, would be really interested in how we can also share the perks of using it responsibly.
Yep, absolutely, yeah, I think we can do that.
Council, additional questions? Would someone like to put a motion on the floor? Councilor Mearns.
I make a motion that council approve the artificial intelligence AI use policy F002-001 as attached to report AIR 1254.
Excellent. We'll open the floor for any comments or debate. Councilor Mearns.
Just a comment, I think this is great, and to take that slow, steady approach to it and make adjustments, as you mentioned. There's lots of opportunities to increase efficiencies across the board that I've seen personally as well as in other areas, so happy to see that we've got a policy in place and allow administration to start working through that, so it's great.
Thank you.
Councilor Dakin.
I did take a course on this at one of our conferences, and I'm glad we're doing the slow roll version because I'd rather see somebody else expose some issues than us. But I think this is very well written, so thank you for that. Also, side note, our generative AI won't pick up our meeting minutes. So the way that we have them set up online is actually brilliant because you can't pull anything from them with AI, which is kind of cool. So good job on that too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any additional comments, Council? We have a motion on the floor from Councilor Mearns. All those in favor? And opposed? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we'll move along to the signing authority policy.
Thank you, Mayor Hansen. So with this policy this evening, we're looking just to update it. It's fairly new. The last update wasn't that long ago. So just to reflect some of the changes to the organization recently and to kind of really incorporate the corporate seal into this policy, so it's all in one place, and to outline the definitions and responsibilities of the senior administrator. So yeah, so in the discussion portion, yeah, I touched on those. I think that covers everything. Some text changes, minor text changes there, incorporating the seal. And that was the highlights. The other item I think that's not mentioned here, I believe we have to repeal the seal policy tonight too, is that correct? Yes, so my apologies for that not getting into the report, but that's part of this, is that the corporate seal policy that is on the books now has to be repealed. And someone will have to help me with that policy number for council to make a motion, because I don't have it handy. With that, entertain any questions you might have.
Thank you. We'll start with those questions. Councillor Dakin. Seeing no other questions, a motion, Councillor Dakin. Was that your hand up? No, I made that up. Sorry.
Thank you,
Not to
Mayor
pressure you
Hansen.
into it.
No problem, I'm ready. I move that council approves proposed policy L-002-013D, signing authority policy as presented in AIR 1255.
Excellent. Any further comments, Ms. Phillips?
If we could also add into rescind the corporate seal policy. Sorry, I don't have a number in front of me, but I think that would be.
Should we do those all in one motion or two separate?
Normally you do them together.
Okay.
But you can do them separate.
And to please rescind the corporate seal policy number.
To be determined.
To be
Sorry,
inserted by Anna and Jolene. I think we probably can go forward with that
I
without
think
the
so.
policy
Corporate seal
number,
policy's fine.
with the name inserted into the motion, so that's probably just fine. Seeing no objection to that. Any further comments? Great. All those in favor and opposed, and that is carried. Thank you.
Found it.
You found it. There you go, of course. Next, we've got a number of correspondence and information items. Is there anything that we have questions on in that list, Council? Seeing none, CAO report, Ms. Phillips.
All right, as usual, the full CAO report is in your agenda. If you have any other questions, I'll just highlight a few items. Within our Wellness and Community Connections, Older Adult Services has a few grants that will allow us to continue delivering the Taking Action Against Elder Abuse case management program, as well as the social prescribing program. Next Source facility, we're offering extra programming, extra drop-ins during the teacher strike to help keep our youth active and busy during the during this time, as well as at schools out camps. A lot of events coming up for Halloween, revolving around Halloween, taking place on the October 24th, 25th. Parks and Protective Services, we're working into, moving into our, unfortunately, our winter season, so closing down washrooms, spray parks closed. Planning Development, the reports are attached. I will highlight that our building permits were at about 49 million, slightly higher than last year, so doing well there. Environmental Services is working on, work has been initiated on the Modified Lagoons Remediation Plan. In operations, I'm excited for this one. The West End Recycling Facility is being relocated to the, from the dog park area and away from the cemetery, out to a Pagotto Park as a temporary solution we're anticipating a couple of years for that. So they're working on that, and I did get confirmation today that they plan on hopefully having it done by the end of this month. So it's already fencing going in. They're taking millings from another project to put down the surface and get it, the big thing is away from the cemetery. 47th Ave is open. And Yes, our tourism team has been relocated, so you will now find them again temporarily while we do our renos of this building in the Arch and Ballroom. So if there's any questions, comments?
Councillor Oostende.
Quick comments. No place is perfect, but for putting a recycling facility, but I'm so glad it's moving from a more reverent place, a cemetery, to another location. The staff went to an Alberta Lake Management Society workshop. I'm very glad to see that. And in recent conversations with a group of citizens, there's a lot of work they've been doing on Sylvan Lake Creek coming into the lake through our golf course. And there's nutrient levels in there, phosphorus levels that are reasonably high. Reasonable might not be the right word. Surprisingly high. And it's in the locations they're testing show that it's possibly our urban water coming from our town or lands upstream, potentially from agriculture land at the headwater of the creek. So I just want to give that heads up, and likely these people will share more information with town staff and council in the future. Certainly encourage them to. The question I have is October 24th, the appeal hearing, 10 a.m. Regarding an appeal of a development. What does that mean in terms of the development process, and any role for council? Or is that a subdivision appeal board?
Through the chair to Councillor Oostende, that appeal will be heard by the Regional Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, so there's nothing for council that they need to do. Those members are made up from Parkland Community Planning Services oversees that, with members at large on that committee.
Okay, thank you.
Guess I don't need to put up my own hand. A follow-up plus another question. When the regional board meets on items, do they do it here in our community, or do they do that somewhere else in the region? Because I know the members of that appeal board are from across central Alberta.
Yes, so the municipality where the appeal is taking place is typically asked to host the appeal if we have a facility available. So it will be held here at 10 a.m. that morning.
Excellent. Good. Was just thinking of that barrier if those that wanted to attend or speak at it had to travel to Olds for it. That wouldn't be the most convenient. My other request is around recreation and culture. I'm curious when the quarterly reporting comes back, if there could be a special note about these additional programs and what attendance looked like during school strike times. I know that it's been incredible how we've been able to adapt some of our programming and add in additional daytime options along with day camps, but it might skew our stats a little bit, so I just would be interested in seeing those in the quarterly report broken out specifically to this strange time period that we're in that I hope is over quickly.
We will make sure they're included in the next report.
Okay. Thank you. Council, any additional questions on the CAO report?
May I add one more?
Yes,
comment?
of course.
I just wanted, as the last council meeting with this council, as the CAO for my report, I would like to say thank you so much for the opportunity I've been given working with this council in the town of Sylvan Lake. I am truly enjoying my time here, and look forward to hopefully continuing with some of you, so, or all, but almost all. But thank you so much. I've truly felt very supported in my role, and have really enjoyed working with you all, so thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, did we all just take a breath there? Next, we'll move along to council requests for information and updates. And I'll just ask if there's any of those committee-related updates. Let's start there. Councillor Dakin.
Yes, I had an eventful meeting this morning. We've been working hard on our business plan for the water wastewater. You need 75% of votes for it to pass, so the business plan in itself actually didn't get passed. It was submitted for information, which means there's going to be a ton of work that needs to be happening in the next little bit to make sure that it stays in direction. So thank you to Councillor Oostende, who was on the call this morning, Mayor Hansen, anyway, everyone who was there and participating this morning. So that was, you know, that's political. It's a political process. So it is what it is. We'll keep moving forward. So that was a big one, but just so everyone's aware, I'll write a full report about it regardless, but that was my big one.
Councillor Ostindi.
Throw a comment and a question, though, too, regarding the Water Wastewater Commission. With a potential business plan, there is an interest from the consultant and some members or potential member, ECVIL is the potential member, to, I would say, reduce our influence and vote on that commission. And basically, that's a serious concern to me because it means that we will, being 80% of the user of that system and being the uniform rate that we pay, we effectively subsidize the system. We will lose not control, because we do not have control, but strong influence on the system. So that's a concern I have, but that's ongoing conversations that will occur. One other.
Sure. Go ahead, and I'll let you finish that.
The other one was just a question, because Councillor Dakin, you raised it at the political forum, the $20 million question. I don't understand that number, and I know we're following the engineering reports to look for a savings, and I'm wondering, is that what you're referring to as part of that process, or was it something else being negotiated? Because it didn't make sense to me.
Councillor Dakin.
Okay, sure, a couple things. First thing, Section 18 of the bylaws is where the discussion would happen around any voting structure. It doesn't have, it's a suggestion in the business plan. It's not anything for the business plan getting passed would have anything to do with the voting. It was just in there as a suggestion. It's not anything that anyone around the table is wanting to talk about at this point. Maybe a couple, but it's not anything that would pass with that. Anyway, sorry. Second item for that, yes, so the redesign of the line going around the lake to the north side is a $20 million savings. There are questions around it about feasibility in the future, which I posed this morning about what would our costs be for having to fix X, Y, or Z, because it's not included in the Water for Life program, which covers 90% of the program. So yeah, it is a $20 million savings going north around the lake. ECVIL is very interested in becoming a partner with us. Having good regional partners is important, as we all know. And so yeah, I hope that answers everything, but I will do a full report.
Do you have another thought?
Yeah. Just because the idea that it came across that you were saving the town 20 million, and this would be savings for the commission. And keep in mind, you know, when we buy something for the commission, we are paying for a large portion of it, the portion not paid by the province. We will end up paying 80% of it. So it's much like when I go to Canadian Tire, I came back, I bought my winter tires, I'm saving $130, but I have spent $1,600. So I want to be clear that we are investing in the commission, and these investments going the route we're choosing is for the long run, hopefully much cheaper, and so we should save millions. But I just want to be clear that we have to follow the engineering on it, and that's, once that's confirmed, that's the savings for the commission. I just want to.
Thank you. Another meeting I want to update on is just on Friday. Ms. Phillips and I went to Edmonton for a meeting with Christine Sewell and Donna Joy from the Minister's Office. Councillor Rilling hoped to have joined, but a cold got her down, and I appreciate that she kept it to herself. So I wanted to provide an update. I also did submit a report on this one, but I think it's timely. Purpose of our meeting was to discuss the upgrade from our AACS facility to a formal urgent care facility in town. We've heard rumblings, and we received a reply letter from Minister Jones confirming that this was a conversation that was taking place, but we needed more details. What we learned was that there's really 3 steps to this pre-approval phase. The first one is the needs identification, and this is completed or close to completed. This is really just based on community data and demand analysis. The stage that they're just entering into is the business case development stage, which is stage 2. This determines what it would take to upgrade the facility. It reviews the space requirements, feasibility and expansion, or the need for a new site. They did mention in that meeting that they are aware of our space constraints, and they're aware of the railway and the roadway. So I did get a little bit of a thought that potentially expansion wasn't going to be an option, but that's what they're looking into at this stage. It's a data-driven stage led by infrastructure, and the business case funding for this has already been approved. The expected timeline for this stage is 6+ months, and the outcome will include multiple options for government consideration. From that stage, they go into stage 3 of planning, and that's the functional programming stage. This includes their detailed assessments, staffing and hours discussions, and tailoring of services to community needs. So some examples they gave was if some communities have a really high percentage of one service that needs to take place. In Sylvan Lake, I don't know this from data, but I would suspect that it's probably things like stitches and casts, because people have a whole lot of fun sometimes when they come here, but they'll look at what our medical needs are and design the space to fit that. We asked about what the decision-making process was, and the final approval will rest with Treasury Board based on provincial priorities and demonstrated need. And nothing related to this project has yet been brought to Treasury Board, so it's really not at a political level at this point, it's just at a data gathering level. Talked about what next steps look like. They said we can follow up in 6 months to check on process within that business case stage. And we could find out if that stage has been completed, if they moved on, or if it's close, and give a bit of an update at that time. It is not expected to be included in the upcoming provincial budget cycle, but it is reasonable that we could make consideration in next year's once they've done that functional programming stage. And the funding would primarily come from hospital and surgical ministry budget. Ms. Phillips, did I capture all the things from that?
Yes, I think you covered it very well.
Okay. So next steps, sure. Next steps really in the advocacy side of this is just to continue that conversation, but really probably ramp that up a handful of months prior to next fall when they start to get into those budget decisions, and hopefully they've got something that they're reviewing at the same time at that time. Councillor Ostindi.
Question, just in terms of their discussion of data gathering for, how it fits, you mentioned like the road and railroad constrictions, that have they in their data gathering even thought about like the drawings of and what potential space they have to push out with, or is that way beyond this step?
My understanding is that might come within the functional programming portion of it. Clarify, I'm not sure that they said that we would ever be able to really receive a copy of that because it's confidential cabinet communications, but that would be a part of it, I think, in that later stage. And as it gets closer to approval, they probably fine tune that, but not in the current one. It's really data driven, they said. Does that cover? Go ahead.
Yes, I agree, and they mentioned, that we definitely wouldn't see the results of this, but that if they needed input from us. So if they needed information on if there was to be more space needed, so a different location and whatnot, or funding options and whatnot, that they'd reach out to the community and get that information.
And although we couldn't see the data along the way, we could ask for a progress report. Yes. In reasonable time. We're probably not going to call in 2 weeks and find out where they've been because they've laid out those timelines, but they'd be happy to let us know where they are in those stages. So happy we have a contact there, and it was well worth the drive. Any additional questions on that? Any other committee reports that are time sensitive? Councillor Ostindi.
I think I already mentioned about Lodge and Lions at the last committee of the whole, didn't I? Okay, no comment.
It's also a busy week of committee meetings. The third week of the month tends to be one of our busiest, so I think there'll be more to submit later this week, and please make sure we do that just as soon as the meeting's complete so that nothing gets lost. Now we'll move into just our general council request for information and updates. Council, do we have anything? Councillor Rilling.
I just want to say goodbye. Openly and publicly. I've actually, it's been an incredible experience for me, and I love you, staff. And thank you so much for I mean, I feel like at the beginning especially, I bumbled along, and you were all so gracious and kind. And so thank you. And it truly has been my honor to serve this community alongside you.
On that note, two things. First off, certainly hope, Mr. Dethray, thank you very much for your participation, and we certainly hope you get elected. And second of all, Teresa, thank you very much. We have more. I remember when you came and visited, learn how to be a counselor, and you were humble. You've been humble all the way through. You've been one of the most effective counselors that I've ever known. And I've known a few. So, you know, and so with that, we're going to have a picture, aren't we? And
let's stand.
nice.
Do we have anything else under this section of our meeting? I do. I have things to say. It's the last meeting of our term. And as I was writing down a couple of thoughts, I thought this certainly hasn't been a term of ribbon cuttings and shiny new buildings. And I've been a part of those, and those were fantastic. But that is not what we dealt with this term. We talked water, wastewater, the unglamorous but essential things that were needed in the past 4 years. We strengthened our policies, we've improved processes, and we built a foundation that future councils can build on. And it's been a term of learning for all of us. We listened, we adapted, we grew both individually, I think miles, and as a team together. And I'm really proud. If there's one thing on a personal level I can say that I'm proud of this term, it's how we've worked together. We have had our bumps. We didn't always agree, but we've really kept focused throughout this time on getting the work done and doing what's best for Sylvan Lake. And I'm incredibly proud of our council for that. It's been a true pleasure to serve alongside of you, and the dedication and care that each one of you has brought to this table in an individual way has just been so great to be a part of. So thank you so much. No matter what comes next, I know that our community is stronger today because of the work that we all accomplished together, and I'm so proud to have spent this term with you all. So thank you so very much. Okay, we still have some real work to do, though. Would someone like to make a motion? We have 2 closed session items to deal with before we come back out and just adjourn the meeting. Would someone like to make that motion? Councillor Mearns.
I make a motion that this regular meeting of council continue with the closed session to discuss a land matter and this item shall remain confidential pursuant to Section 24(1), advice from officials and the Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act, RSA 2000, CF-25, and Section 197(2) of the Municipal Government Act, RSA 2000, CM26.
Excellent. All those in favor? And opposed? And that is carried unanimously. Council, let's take 10 and head to the back. All right, Councillor Rilling.
I move that the closed session concludes and council reverts back to the regular meeting of council.
Excellent. All those in favor and opposed, that is carried unanimously. Councillor Mearns.
I make a motion that this regular meeting of council continue with the closed session to discuss a land matter, and this item shall remain confidential pursuant to section 24(1), advice from officials, and the Freedom of Information and Protection and Privacy Act, RSA 2000, CF 25, and section 197(2) of the Municipal Government Act, RSA 2000, CM 26.
Yeah. Councillor Mearns is correct, is what I'm hearing. Okay. Excellent. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried unanimously. We will head back to the Lozelle room. As Jolene tells me, thank you. Would you like to bring us out of camera?
I certainly would. I move that the closed session concludes and council reverts back to the regular meeting of council.
Thank you. All those in favor and opposed? That is carried unanimously. Councillor Payne?
And I make a motion that council direct administration to advise the property owner of lot 20, block 7, plan 0729246, that the town is not interested in acquiring the subject lands at this time.
Excellent. All those in favor and opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Council, we have reached the end of our meeting tonight. Thank you very much. We have no more agenda items, so this meeting is adjourned.